Hello and welcome. Schoolstone Week 5 returns. I am Marty B, and joining me today, we have a special guest, Rotted Zombie. How you doing?
I'm great, man. Thank you for having me. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Pretty good. It's a really nice day, nice and warm out. Probably gonna go out for a bit and enjoy the weather after this match. But first, we have a pretty high profile battle between two one seeds in the Wild Series. Battle Tagger of Everyone's a Winner versus Dr. BOMD of Wild THL Fanatics. How you feeling
Yes,
about
sir.
this?
It's looking like it's going to be a pretty good match. Reviewing the deck lists already, we have several of the top tier decks. These are two top tier players. I'm really excited to see how this goes, and I know we're going to get some good action.
Yeah, since you mentioned the deck list, let's take a deeper look into those. Looking at Battle Taggers lists, we have Dark Lair Warlock, Reno Priest, a unique Exodia Mage, which we should probably discuss a bit more in detail, and Kingsbane Rogue. On Dr. BOMD's side, we have Dark Lair Warlock, Hand Buff Paladin, supposedly nerfed, but still brought, an Odd Warrior, and a Reno Priest as well. How are you feeling about these lists?
Well, at first blush, there's no surprise that both players are bringing Dark Lair Warlock. After the nerfs, it is easily positioned as the strongest deck in the meta, and I would say most people are going to be bringing it if they want to have just sort of a good stuff week. After that, things start to diverge a little bit. I'm liking what I'm seeing here from Doc Bomb and the hand buff Paladin. I know that there was a nerf to Crab Rider, but the deck is still very powerful, arguably with a buff to first day of school. And beyond that, I really do want to talk about this Antonidas OTK Exodia Mage. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so walk us through how this deck works. Because some people may be
Absolutely.
looking at it and might be curious to figure out how Open the Waygate is completed consistently.
Yes. So we all know Archmage Antonidas has been a staple of Exodia decks for as long as he's been around here in Hearthstone. If you step back years, people were experimenting with this. Now, however, with cards like Incanter's Flow and with Refreshing Springwater, this combo is as viable as it ever has been. So we have Open the Waygate at the top, the Mage Quest where you complete it by casting spells that didn't start in your deck, and you get a bonus turn with Time Warp. In this case, you might not see a lot of ways to generate other spells until you find the copy of Evocation in your deck. So what you're looking to do here is create a big board of Sorcerer's Apprentices and go absolutely ham with Evocation. The ability to copy them with Molten Reflection or Potion of Illusion will mean that you can get a whole host of free spells that didn't start in your deck in your hand. Voila, you've completed your quest. And this is also aided by the fact that the second copy of Ray of Frost isn't a spell that starts in your deck. The Mana Biscuit doesn't start in your deck. Lots of ways to quickly complete this.
Now, I think it's important to note, are you holding that quest after you complete it?
Typically, if you've gone in to complete the quest, you're going. There are some scenarios where you maybe don't, but typically if you complete the quest, you're ripping it and you have the ability to then play Archmage Antonidas and generate infinite fireballs which burn your opponent to the ground.
So you're doing this all in the same turn, essentially, is what I'm getting.
Once you're in, and if you're not in, you're out. If that makes sense.
Yeah, you just kind of go all in on the combo in one turn, cycle through your deck, complete the quest, play the quest, and then play Antonidas and kill your opponent, is what I'm getting out of this.
Yes, and there are some situations where if there's an ice block up, you have to consider secondary lines, but in this case, Battle Tagger does not have to worry about anything like that because on the other side, there is no ice block because there is no mage. And there are some ways that he'll have to be careful. Looking at the opposing priest list, there is a copy of Dirty Rat, but no copy of Mind Render or Lucia. So just some things he has to play around, some things he doesn't have to play around.
So the good thing is we do have bans. Just getting those
Ah,
in now. So
excellent.
Battle Tagger's Warlock is banned, and Dr. BOMD's Warrior is banned.
All
So
right.
no Dark Glare Warlock for Battle Tagger, and no Odd Warrior for Dr. BOMD, it seems. How do you
Yes,
feel
and
about this?
I think that makes sense given what Tagger was bringing, that he bans the Odd Warrior. I'm excited to see the mage. I'm curious. Well, let me look at these lists. I would have to give the slight advantage, I guess, to Tagger just knowing his play, but this could go either way. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm curious to hear about the Warrior ban later because it doesn't seem like Battle Tagger is necessarily going for full aggro and just is scared of the
No.
Warrior. I understand that the Kingsbane Rogue and the Dark Lair Warlock will have a harder time against it. It seems that he's feeling that his slower decks can get there against the rest of the field and just wants to get rid of a deck with two of the better matchups into his decks.
I think so, and I guess we'll have to see. I'm not too worried. I wouldn't be too worried about the Odd Warrior into several of the other decks that, like Exodia Mage and Reno Priest, aren't gonna have too much of a problem with Odd Warrior. So I'm not sure how I feel about that actually.
Yeah, it's tough to really say. Um, Looking at these teams though, right now everyone's a winner in first place. 82 points prior to this week, 5 points already on the week, leading this matchup 5-4 with 2 games played out.
Yes.
Absolute taking a 3-0 sweep for his opponent, and Slot beating Hazer for Wild THL Fanatics. Um, how do you feel about these players? Going on into the season, where do you think these teams will end up? We see Wild THL Fanatics currently starting out with a 1-3 record, but keeping up the pace here pretty well so far against everyone's winner.
Yeah, I think while THL Phonetics, they have a lot of very good players, and they've sort of had just a rough start to the season. But they have the opportunity here. I think this is the turn match for them. If they can squeeze out a win with their 1 seed Doc Bomb against Battle Tagger, they could steal this week, which would be a fairly sizable upset. Everyone's a winner has been fairly well recognized as the team to beat, and this is coming from someone who wants to beat them from on the F2L side. They have been a juggernaut for the most part last season in this one, and is this going to be the moment where someone steps up and says no longer? We'll see.
Yeah. Um. Actually, do you want an extra caster?
I always like people.
Yeah, I think I can try grabbing Jailstorm to join us real quick, and that'll be super exciting.
Hell yeah.
So let me get that started, and we'll have everyone in here, and it'll be a party.
Perfect. I like parties.
So let's just hop over.
Well, well.
Yeah, so once Jailstorm gets to join in, we won't have him on screen, unfortunately, but we'll all know he's here just through his wonderful voice.
His
And
dulcet tones.
yeah, it'll be very exciting.
Hey
Thing is,
guys,
hey,
Hello, my
so
friend.
how are you
looking,
guys doing?
we're doing pretty well. We're actually just about to get started. We were just going over deck lists. Welcome.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I'm doing well too. Excited for today's match. So,
Yeah, we have Battle Tagger versus Doc Bombed. We were just going over the deck lists, and we recently got bans. So, Battle Tagger's Warlock is banned, his Dark Lair Warlock. And Dr. Bomb's Odd Warrior was banned on his side. So, we have Reno Priest, Exodia Mage, or commonly known as Afar Mage, after Afar, the creator of the deck, and Kingsbane Rogue versus Handbuff Paladin, Dark Lair Warlock, and Reno Priest from Dr. Bombed. Do you have any insights on this you want to give before we give the players the go ahead?
yeah, no, I was really interested at the bans from both of these players. Battle Tiger actually banned out Dr. Bomb's Odd Warrior, um, which had some interesting inclusions. Now that the buff from N'Zoth, God of the Deep, was buffed to 9 mana, he put a little bit of a package for the N'Zoth in there with the Tent Trasher, the Stonewall Anchorman, and the Death's Hand Cultist, trying to get back a little bit of swing turn with that 9 mana play. Um, But Battle Tiger obviously was a little bit scared about that. He banned that. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they decide to lead for this matchup. Curious to see how that goes. Let's just check in on the players now.
There we go. Tagger just added me. All right.
Yep.
We got you, fam. Hold on.
What do you guys think about Battle Tiger's his quest mage? I saw it has the Antonidas package, couple ice blocks, the Molten Reflections, Potion of Illusions. Trying to
Ooh.
get that combo turn out with the Sorcerer's Apprentice and the Antonidas for infinite damage. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we were just going over it actually, explaining how the combo works. It's super interesting how you have to play a bunch of Sorcerer's Apprentices and copy them through Molten Reflection and Potion of Illusion, then play Evocation to get a bunch of free spells, complete your quest, and then usually play your Time Warp on the same turn to drop Archmage Antonidas the following turn and kill your opponent.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if he can pull that combo off today. It's definitely going to be something to see against Dr. Bomb's decks. I think he has the best advantage with that deck in the Reno Priest matchup, just because Reno Priest it can steal some of the combo pieces with Dirty Rat, but Dr. Bomb actually has no Mind Render Elucia to steal the entire combo. So
Yeah, we'll have
Yeah.
to see how that goes. Let's see, I think my friends list is, oh, here we go.
Looks like they're just getting ready. They're still hanging out in the main menu in my eyes.
Yes.
yeah, same here.
So once that gets started, we will jump in.
So as that gets ready to go, let's take a look at the remaining decks here. And I'm curious what you guys would want to send out first. For Tagger, he has his Priest, his Mage, and his Rogue. Doc Bomb has his Warlock, his Paladin, his Priest. If I'm each of these players, guys, what are we looking to send out first? Beyond like obvious comfort picks that we can't really speak to.
If I'm BOMD, I'm going Warlock or Paladin first.
Just pure power.
Yeah, I think I'd go Warlock first because it has a better matchup into these deck lists. You know, he has Lotheb to deny the mage. It's combo
Double
turn.
Neophyte as well.
Yeah, double Neophyte also helps.
Yeah, I think actually the Paladin is probably the stronger of the two picks between the Paladin and the Warlock, just because the Paladin has the Lotheb to lock out the Quest Mage for a turn, and that might provide a big enough window to seal that game out. And also, he's got the Rush minions with Crab Riders, he's got the Vicious Scalehide, and then the Argent Horse Rider, to take out those minions from the Kingsbane Rogue. I'm actually not too familiar with the Kingsbane versus Handbuff Paladin. How about you guys?
It really depends. The goal of the Kingsbane is to get under the Paladin as quickly as possible. It can be difficult at times because Paladin just has insane burst with things like Conviction.
Mm-hmm.
But
Looking at the
looks like
Paladin
getting
list
this game.
here.
Sorry,
Okay,
go ahead.
cool.
yeah, they
I
are
was just gonna say-
starting up. We will have Dr. Bombed
Dr.
on
Bomb.
the bottom and Battle Tagger on the top. So just entering now.
I'm getting in as well.
All right, it
All
looks
right.
like the first game is going to
Ooh.
be between Battle Tiger's Quest Mage with the Antonidas on the top end, and then Dr. Bomb's Handbuff Paladin.
Tagger in his list does run 2 copies of Ice Block, so he's going to be able to buy time here. Doc Bomb doesn't have a really good way to interact with that, so if Tagger can get his pieces together in a decent order, he might be able to just make this inevitable.
Yeah, the thing that Battle Tiger does not have a lot of in this deck is removal. He doesn't have stuff like the Devolving Missiles. He has the Ray of Frost to potentially free some stuff, but outside of the Frost Nova turns and the Ice Block turns, I think Dr. Bomb might be able to stage a big enough board that could pose a threat.
Well, that's exactly what he has to do. Doc Bomb has to just get going and get going right now, because the longer this game goes on, the more ability Battle Tagger's going to have to get to those other Frost Novas, to get to his Rays of Frost. He already has one ice block. This could be very tricky. We also have to get Doc Bomb to his Loatheb. That's going to be one of the keys. Generating a board, then sticking that Loatheb.
Yeah, and Dr. Bomb already pushing 6 damage on that turn 4. Um, Battle Tagger, he's just probably going to have to draw for these next 2 or 3 turns to get that to get those turns where he could develop more card draw and the freeze or the ice blocks.
Yes. You already see Battle Tagger holding on to his free ice block, and that's not a bad idea in this matchup. You can work your other stall and removal until turn 5, and if Loatheb comes down there, you have a play around it.
Yes, I do expect. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm all you.
I do expect that Conviction could possibly come out as early as turn 5 for Bombed here, just because there's no removal from Battle Tiger's side. And that buff sticking over a couple turns can push that much more damage.
Conversely, I think Tagger's going to start to think about freezing here, because he probably recognizes that he might get into trouble if he takes too much more damage.
Yeah, this is a tough spot because you're pretty much going to have to freeze or ice block almost every turn going forward here.
He was fingering the ice block like he wanted to play it, but I think he might end up just passing. And he does. Doesn't see the need to play it yet. Can't die really from 21 here with the mana that Bombed has available.
Interesting that Bomb tries to develop the Salhet's Pride. I might have just gone for the 2 charge minions that turn.
Well, I think in Bomb's eyes, he wants to continue just a power cycle at this point. Thins his deck to get to Loatheb. Meanwhile, Tagger finds his Encounters Flow, which is one of the core cards in this matchup, to make all of the rest of his draws so much better, especially since he has a Spring Water in hand already.
Yeah, and that just perfectly curves out with the flow into Nova this turn, denying 10 damage that Bombed would push.
And it looks like he is going to finally play that ice block.
And Bomb this turn, I think if he throws down the Loatheb and then with the
There's the
Conviction
Loatheb,
with the
yeah.
following turn, that would pop the block, right?
Opts instead to buff his hand and hold. Very interesting.
Yeah, giving Battle Tiger just a little bit more time.
There's a Spring Water.
Do you think the 1 mana nerf from Spring Water really touched its effectiveness in this this matchup as the Quest or APM mage?
I think it's really early to say. I know that there are many players I respect who have very specifically said that after the nerf to Spring Water, that APM Mage is worse, which would be the point, not necessarily to obliterate it, but to make it just worse. On the other hand, the stats going into the nerf suggested that Spring Water was perhaps the stronger card. I mean, that Flow was perhaps the stronger card. So there has still been a lot of division in the community, and I think we're just going to have to wait and see as the percentages shake out.
Yeah, I thought possibly nerfing Flow might just be too much of a nerf to the deck because playing that on turn 2 is just so much better than playing it on turn 3. I mean, you really don't have any other turn 2 plays besides Flow or Ruined Orb, so... He opts for the Conviction this turn. Do you think we'll see the Loatheb as well?
I don't, unless he can pop the block, I wouldn't think so. So let's take a look at his hand. He has an Argent Horse Rider, and he has a, where's his fishy? So that's 6.
Yeah, he's 1 off from popping the block this turn.
Yeah, I'm not sure we're going to see it then.
I see he has the Knight of Anointment in his hand. I believe the only 4 holy spells that he runs are the 2 Hand of Adals that he's played and the 2 Convictions. Is that correct?
Let me
Yeah.
see. Let me look at this issue. Typically, yes. And in this case, yes. Double Hand of Adal, double Conviction.
So playing the Knight the previous turn possibly could have gotten that second Conviction and pushed the block the previous turn.
Yeah. I mean, it has to be a consideration from Bombed that at this point, Tagger would already have access to his second block because he's drawn through so much of his deck.
Yeah, and once you get to turn 8 too, after Lotheb, you could play the block anyway, so we're getting to that break point.
It's tricky here. Tagger needs to find the other block, though. Because if he can't cobble this together, hold on. He also doesn't have his evocation. So he's probably just going to set up to draw as much as he can to find the block. There's the Evo.
Yeah, but now he has no Sorcerer's Apprentice, which is easily going to get taken down the next turn by Dr. Bomb, so he's got a 1 in 4 chance to top deck it. But if not, I think he has to play the Cold Knight.
Did he have time to play the Cold Light?
Oh, he actually did play the Potion of Illusion this turn with the Mana Biscuits. My apologies.
Ooh. This is going to be rough. Because if Tagger's going to get popped here. If he doesn't find his other block, he has a 1 in 4, he might just lose.
He has his block in hand, actually.
Oh, I'm an idiot. It was just right there. That's well, hey Marty.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you. With all the drawing, I'd completely missed that.
All good.
Yeah. So what do you think, Marty? What position are we in here for Doc Bomb and Tagger?
So, if it were me, I'm gonna play that second ice block next turn as Tagger, and then I'm going to go off and
win the game.
Try to complete my combo with as much mana as possible.
Yeah.
You know,
it's looking pretty good with the discounted Evo, and he has both Moltons in hand. I think this is fairly well over.
He has the Evo. He has both Sorcerer's Apprentices and the Evocation, as well as other combo pieces. So he can just go off next turn and not worry about dying.
Let's think about the mana. So 3, 4, 5. Yeah, this is over.
Yeah,
he's just gonna go to town here.
Well past the turning point.
Yeah.
This will be a win for Battle Tagger, and we'll see him pop off here.
Watch this, everyone.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun to see.
This is how the combo works.
Or Apprentices just discounting all those spells by so much.
I'm almost out of cards.
There it is.
That's actually going to cost Battle Tagger the game. That's gonna be the game right there. He doesn't even need the spell.
If he had 1 less mana, he would have. He counted correctly, but you got to be careful there. Yeah, the fatigue would have killed him if he didn't have the ability to kill him this turn.
Yeah, so he won't need that time warp at all.
Nope. Just enough discounts in hand with the extra mana biscuit to simply burn out Bombed this turn, and Tagger's going to go up 1-0 on the strength of his Aether Exodia Mage.
Yeah, honestly, I would have picked this matchup going in favor of the hand buff Paladin, but the quest mage, not even finishing the quest, pulled out a win.
It's all about that mid-game turning of the corner. Because he couldn't get enough pressure into Loetheb before turn 6 or 7, Tagger was just able to rip the second ice block through the Loetheb, and that was just that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're getting game 2 underway right now. Let's take a look.
Ooh.
We got Hand Buff Paladin versus Reno Priest.
Well, this is typically favored for the Hand Buff Paladin, but Tagger is an exceptional player with tools here, so I wouldn't expect him to keep much of this, though. Maybe keep the penance. Meanwhile, on the other side, Doc Bomb's going to keep that Christology, right? And just ditch the rest.
Yeah, do you ever keep the Technician too?
I think... Eh. Keeps the Elucia. Okay, Tagger, let's go. Oh, I see what he wants to do with that. Zephyrus is good, too. All right.
I wonder if you play Zephyrs very early just to get a wild growth to make that Elucia turn 1 mana more impactful.
I don't mind it with Asteria in hand.
It definitely contests the Grime Street Outfitter pretty well, so we might see it.
Still thinking about it.
Let's think of the... Is there a particular punish? Like, Zephyrus would be useful if there's something unanswerable. Like, he could keep Zephyrus to deal with the Salit's Pride with the Earth Shock, which
Yes.
might have been his thought.
Yeah, and so that is
Probably gonna see
available
that right
here.
then. Yeah.
It looks like he's going to go for exactly that.
Seems like a pretty good value. Deny the draw and slow down Bombed significantly. Plus, now that he's found the Shadow Visions in hand, there is the option of finding Ray's Dead and rebuying the Zephyrus.
Yes, that's very true. Getting a second copy of Zephyrs is quite powerful in any matchup, but against hand buff especially.
There's Polkelt.
Solid draw from Taggart here, just curving out, getting his game plan underway, setting himself up to get to the late game pretty well. My thing is, if he plays Polkelt, it limits the amount of time he has to play Elucia.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't like playing Polkelt this turn because whether you play it this turn or the next turn, you're going to get Scream on 7 either way, and there's no way to get Scream earlier. So I like saving the coin for possibly a better play later.
You could look to the Potion of Illusion here to clean up the board a little bit, in which case you probably would take... Which one would you take if it's the potion? Would you want the Crab Rider or the Outfitter in your res pool?
You want the Crab Rider because the Crab Rider can serve as a removal tool on top of being a body.
That's exactly what Battle Tagger's thinking, and will clean up the bigger of the two Grime Street outfitters and heal his face.
Yeah, the Grime Street Outfitter, you would get it back as a 1/1, and you don't really care about your minions being buffed.
No.
So you take the one that's more impactful.
Yeah, the only minion that could even really be relevant for is, what, Talon? Maybe? Does he even run Talon? Let me see here.
BOMD does not run Talon.
Oh, no, I mean,
Tagger does run Talon, actually.
Oh, yes.
Tagger's,
Tagger does.
Tagger also has some interesting tech in here, I've noticed. He has one copy of Binding Heal and a copy of Zarella. So he's got an interesting piece of stepped removal that we don't typically see in Reno Priest, but people have begun to experiment with.
Yeah, I find that particularly interesting just because the other two cards that you cut are probably the Breath of the Infinite and
Yeah. Breath
and
is kind of
something else
in this
similar.
meta. It's just a little too small, I think, and people are cutting it for thusly.
It's a somewhat disappointing Glowstone Technician if UMD decides to go for it. Not a lot
Yeah.
of high value.
You want that on the
minions.
charge minions. Yeah.
I think he's recognizing that as well. Oh,
Yes.
missing the +2/+2 buff though. Not sure about this play. Maybe he was going for Hand of a Doll and hoping to stick it. But problem is
I could see that. Yeah.
that Samuro is also losing value now.
Wow, a very early Elucia here, possibly stealing the 2 copies of Conviction that would deal 12 damage apiece.
I like
or
this
even
a
the
lot.
Samuro too.
The thing is, yeah, like you said, Tagger has two options here. He could waste all of BOMD's burst, or he can deal with the board with Samuro. Getting rid of the conviction may seem more appealing. You can also get rid of the bluegill or even the broom to clean up the board. But Samuro is just so clean, you know, I'm sure any player would consider it too. Looks like
Here comes the fish.
Yeah, he's just laying everything out.
Yeah, and this is just such a strong play, clearing all of the Paladin's minions except for the 1/1, and leaving him the turn after with pretty much an empty hand with Samuro and Conviction. Not a ton of development or draw outside
Yeah.
of that, so a dead end that Dr. Bomb is going to find himself in.
Bomb's going to pitch the Spawn of Shadows in response, but that's not always the win con here for the Priest. So he's just going to empty the hand of value at this point. Probably expect to see the Wave of Apathy too.
He's looking at Shadow Visions.
That's kind of dicey, because you could waste a Raised Dead in theory.
Yeah, I don't know what he would really be looking to put in Battle
There's the
Tiger's
wave.
hand with that Shadow Visions. It's kind of a good card no matter when you'd play it, so...
Yeah, just wasting the Wave of Apathy instead. Makes sense.
Yep. Tiger draws his Reno, and now has to consider he's low on resources, but Doc Bomb is lower after that Elucia swing. So this is going to be the time for him to stabilize and then start to push to the advantage. Have you ever wanted a Spawn of Shadows in your deck, Doc Bomb? Now it's yours. Doc Bomb top decks Lotheb. Not especially playable, though, given that he knows that Tagger is holding on to Anduin.
Yeah, and the Raza pickup just makes it makes the difference that much higher. I mean,
Yeah.
Battle Tiger's basically going to have the full combo with Raza and Anduin. So swinging the match pretty heavily in his favor with that top deck.
Starting to have the power of attrition here. I think Tagger should just play the Raza here, right?
Looks like he's considering the
Oh.
Anduin instead.
Anduin actually, come to think of it, Anduin makes more sense. Just get it online, get your 5 armor, play Raza after the back so it doesn't die. Because now you'll have Asteria available to you. If he Lothebs.
Oh, I'd like Lotheb that turn much better.
Samuro's a big boy.
He's going to have to ping it first if he doesn't want his Raza cleared.
He has enough mana for Raza and Hysteria, which I believe clears.
It will
Yeah.
not. It won't, because for him to be able to ping the
Well, he could ping it after he
Samurai?
plays Hysteria too, right?
it's not guaranteed. Is the issue.
Yeah, maybe I was missing something.
Oh, finds the copy of Shadow Word Death, however, that will clean it off.
Yeah, that was
Bailed out by his Shadow Visions.
That was a key pickup.
Yep. Starts to use the advantage of the hero power, pinging down Doc Bomb. Only at 28, but it can go quickly. Tagger doesn't have a lot of resources, though.
Yeah, and Dr. Bomb picking up that Hand of a Doll. Just getting a little bit more draw, starting to edge out the Priest in the hand development side of things.
Thinking he's gonna just play Lotheb and start to develop the Hand of a Doll, see what's what in his deck. Yeah.
You really don't want to see the smugglers run there.
No.
It's only buffing one minion, and that minion is very low impact at this point in the game. Now with the tail and forward ring draw, that's another minion that Bombed will have to chew through.
Mm-hmm. I think if I'm Tagger here, we're starting to turn the corner. Bombed only has 3 cards in hand, and you've already dealt with one of the convictions, so this is all going face. Chooses
yeah,
to play the
I just-
Hysteria, gets the clear.
I do like
Yeah,
the
and we know that
hysteria
Battle
here.
Tiger's next draw is either going to be that Xyrella or the Kazakis, and the Kazakis will pretty much close out the this game. So
Yeah, that hysteria was pretty safe. We
Pretty
have mass
clean.
hysteria in the
Yeah.
hand. I don't think that there's much high value in BOMD's hand. We know that there's a conviction and another minion. And as we see, Tagger is not worried of a bunch of small minions here.
No, he can clean this off very nicely with pings and the mass hysteria, at which point bombed is just done.
yeah, this looks like the last
Uh,
push by Dr. Bombed here, trying to get some
and
semblance of a board, returning
he,
turnover priest,
but finds Xyrella off the top, which will be a full heal and a full clear, and the power of Xyrella on a Rito turn, behold.
yeah, when you do get to 10 mana, that combo is pretty oppressive for the opponent.
Oh my goodness. And where is any help? Bombed finds his opponent's Spawn of Shadows screamed into his deck. And that will just be it.
Yeah, Battle Tiger taking the second game in a row, 2-0 over Dr. Bomb's Handbuff Paladin, which, a week ago, people were saying might have just been the most powerful deck in Wild.
Oof. Still probably is. Among the top two, anyway. Dark Lair than this, arguably. But Reno Priest, if it finds its curve and finds its tools, it's going to be hard to beat. Leaving now, Tagger with his Kingsbane Rogue. Doc Bomb has to chew through that 3 times with the Paladin, the Dark Lair Warlock, and the Reno Priest. Can he do it? Going to be a tall order, but we'll see.
Yeah, so now BOMD has a choice of any deck of his against this Kingsbane Rogue.
Opts to stick with the Paladin.
Let's see how this goes.
Yeah, I think the toughest of the 3 matchups for Battle Tiger is probably against either that Paladin or the Priest. The Warlock, I think the Rogue could definitely get under.
So sorry.
But let's see how the handbuff fares.
Doc Bomb with a full keep, decent little starting position for him. Finds some lifesteal also in the ability to buff it with a Solid's Pride further to refill. Not a bad opening start for him, all things considered.
I'm getting a patches bug. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, looks like we're getting a patches bug, so we'll just leave spectator
I'm gonna leave and come
mode
back.
real quick.
I have the same bug.
We'll get that back up for you guys in 1 second.
Yeah, and Battle Tiger turn 2, just daggering up and killing the Crab Rider that was at 1 health.
Yep.
Dr. Bomb turn 3, Salhet's Pride.
Dagger finds his Cavern Shiny Finder, so he'll be able to get his Kingsbane online. Meanwhile, Doc Bomb has a whole lot of minions in his hand, the ability to start buffing them. Has good removal and even some life gain, so he might be able to hang with the Rogue here if Tagger can't build his weapon to a ginormous size.
Yeah, the one thing the Rogue can't do is clear those big Paladin boards outside of a crazy turn with like Secret Passage into 5 cards and then Prize Plunder, or even 2 Prize Plunders.
Tagger's going to go ahead and coin out the Secret Passage here, wants to find some immediate buff. But perhaps... Oh, wow, that's just a bad... That's just a bad passage. My goodness.
Yeah,
Gonna play the raiding party.
I'm trying to think of how many cards would be beneficial in that situation. Just the deadly poisons, the tinkers especially, even another Silverleaf poison, but finds none of that.
Yeah, and is left with just the Buccaneer in his hand. But he has another Secret Passage in his hand, as well as a Silverleaf Poison, so he's not starved of resources, just not the ideal passage you would like to see. Meanwhile, Doc Bomb is cleared but has the ability to redevelop. How will he prioritize it? If he chooses the Crab Rider, it will live at 1 health. He can clear off both of those things. Could go with Samuro. First day of school. Finds a Charge Minion in there in the Stone Tusk Spore. Perhaps will be relevant later.
Also finds the Babbling Book, possibly getting a mage spell that could find Ice Barrier, even a freeze for the Kingsbane.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, with the South Sea and Tinkers, do you just go for that?
Looks like he is.
Yeah, this play
Looks like
here,
he's going to go for the clear. Yeah.
this play here, turn 5, South Sea, and Tinkers. It's a common rogue play because of the immense burst damage it has. In this case, he's going
Yeah.
to clear the board. But really, it's something you're always aiming to do on turn 5. It's the strongest
Yes.
play that the deck does on that turn.
And there's so many good secondary synergies that can go with it. As we saw here, the Dread Corsair could be played for free. And further, if he had a Cutting Class in hand, that could also be played basically for free. Here comes the second secret passage.
Let's see if this one's any better.
There's the Cutting Class. There's a Cutting Class. He's going to get to fill up now. There's another Deadly Poison, so the Cutting Class will be free. Oh my goodness. He can even swing with the Kingsbane and immediately refill it with the Raiding Party and the Dread Corsair. Oh my goodness.
The real question is, how much trading does Battle Tagger want to do here, or is he just shipping it off face?
I'm thinking if you're facing down 9 attack, you kind of have to ship it to face. Because you're not going to win once you're down, what is that, 13 HP to 30?
And he gets to play the Dread Corsair too, so maybe he's thinking... Is he gonna use the Eviscerate to clear the board? Yes, he will.
He trades once again.
Yeah, and bombed at 30 HP. It's tough to think the Kingsbane Rogue can burst him out even over 2-3 turns from that health total.
Well, that's exactly what Kingsbane Rogue does, so...
Mm-hmm. He has the
Wouldn't be
ability to get his
surprised.
Kingsbane back online with one more attack next turn with Buck into Raiding Party. There's a Samuro to clear the board. Gonna get increasingly difficult for Tagger.
Ooh, what does that Babbling Book give him?
Dragon's Fury. Oh
Ew,
dear.
that's kind of gross, yeah. Don't
That's
really want to see that, but...
No.
pretty unfortunate. Kind of a dead spell here.
Yes. Looking at Doc Bomb's hand, he has his one conviction. He also has 1 charge minion, 2 charge minions. And this is all going face.
Yeah, Battle Tagger decides this is the turning point, starts shipping face. It's probably only 2 more turns to lethal for him.
6, 12. Not quite.
This should be lethal for Dr. Bomb, correct?
Yeah, so 3, 4,
Or
5,
close.
6. Yeah,
One off.
yeah. Realistically, though, this should do it. Without the ability to play his spells like Wicked Stab, Eviscerate, or even a Deadly Poison, there's nowhere for Battle Tagger to go.
And there it is.
Yeah, and Battle Tagger agrees. So Dr. Bomb taken 1 game out of 3 so far with that hand buff. Now moving on to his Reno Priest and his Darklair Warlock against Battle Tagger's Kingsbane Rogue.
I still think we send out the Dark Glare in this case, right?
Most
Dark Glare is just
likely.
good.
It has a better matchup into the Kingsbane usually
Uh-huh.
than the Priest.
And there it is.
Struggle.
Yeah, the priest can struggle.
Yeah, the Priest really has no weapon removal. Once that Kingbane gets buffed, it's so tough for the Priest to come back outside of something like Reno into Seance into Raised Dead into another Reno. But Dr. Bomb actually doesn't even have Seance, so that matchup gets that much harder for him.
Tagger with the instant choice in his mulligan, keeping the prep rating party. That's a combo you like to see. Meanwhile, Doc Bomb has found a Dark Lair in hand, but it needs to probably pitch most of the rest to find his cheap stuff and his activators. Finds a Librarian and a Backfire. Okay. And we're off. Let's see what pirates he finds. Not ideal finding patches.
Yeah, and the prize plunder too. It's just not something that
No.
super develops.
No, you want the Buccaneer and you want the Deckhand. Yeah.
Mhm.
Or even with the Deadly Poison, you want the Dread Corsair, just not patches.
Yeah.
Dagger's going to clear off the Kobold Librarian. Doc Bomb finding a Flesh Giant off the top. Could look for a very clean coin backfire turn here. Excuse me.
I do like coin backfire here.
Coin
Just
backfire is
because-
just good.
Yeah, your opponent as rogue hasn't developed enough where they pressure you against that backfire turn, and I think next turn might be that break point where they do. So
Mhm. Realistically, if I'm bombed, we need to... Okay, we can do that. I was going to say we need to find a broom, and there it is off the top.
yeah, well there you go. So
This is very conservative from Dr. Bombed here, not choosing to coin backfire. Not sure if he's going to think that was the
Regret that.
optimal play
Yeah.
later on.
well I'm
I mean,
wondering if he did that possibly to cheat out the Flesh Giant 1 mana cheaper next turn. I haven't fully worked it out, but I think it's pretty close.
I
What could he do?
don't think he can. Either way.
Yeah. 2 ticks with a thing, 3 ticks. Gets it down to 3, and I think he's a mana short, at
Yeah.
least.
Makes you wonder, should he have just gone with the backfire play?
Meanwhile, Tagger's just advancing his plan of smacking the dome. There's a Raised Dead, so I think we're gonna see some action here. Can he afford to wait? He cannot.
I mean, there's so many different ways that Dr. Bomb could play this turn, but he decides to go for the Raised Dead into the single copy of Librarian.
Looks like he's gonna cheat out that Flesh Giant here.
Yeah, and we're gonna have to then play the broom. Plays around Tinker's the best. Yeah. Okay. Pretty big board now for Doc Bomb. It's Power of Darkler. Even if he didn't have as optimal a turn 2 as we would have liked, he still was able to develop a very, very big turn 3. Now Battle Tiger's left with a choice. He's at 28 health, but Doc Bomb has 14 damage on board. 13 damage on board. The race is on, he says.
Yeah, that's a tough decision, but seeing that Wicked Stab in hand, the Secret Passage already in hand.
Oh. Double Neophyte actually could be the nuts here. Just completely lock out his whatever. Alright, Drain Soul, fine. Play around shenanigans. I get it. Sets up lethal anyway.
This is very annoying for Battle Tagger to deal with.
Yeah, he has to spend removal or just die.
He's not going to be able to tutor his Kingsbane either.
I
Plays
think
the Secret
out for him is
Passage.
it's probably just the Kingsbane into a Dread Corsair too, but it doesn't look like he found it.
Nope, and that's just going to be it then. I guess theoretically, it's not just going to be it. Because he can clear off that and technically be alive. But Doc Bombed has so many ways to finish this. And there's one of them. That's going to be it, and the series is going to be tied at 2.
There you have
Yeah,
it.
Dr. Bomb with 2 quick games over Battle Tiger's Kingsbane Rogue, and it comes down to the Kingsbane Rogue versus the Reno Priest for Game 5. Pretty exciting.
Yes. And I have to think that as the Kingsbane here, I'm kind of okay seeing the Reno Priest, even through Reno himself. Kingsbane is just such a damage powerhouse if you can get the dagger up big. Where it could struggle is if it just gets off to a really slow start and allows Doc to develop some semblance of a board with like Raza or Polkelt.
Or even Spawn, yeah. He's found the Dead Ringer in his hand open, or pretty early. I think that's a great card. Oh, he actually dishes it because he already has
Yeah.
Talon. Interesting.
Yeah, Dead Ringer to tutor Talon is an interesting tech, but since he already had Talon in his mulligan, he can just get rid of it. Meanwhile, he also finds Reno, so Talon, the tutors finding their things in advance, so Talon will now get what? Raza?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting.
I do think it's interesting
Or
they
Polk
chose
out, right?
to toss the Dead Ringer over the Talon.
I think I'd rather have the tempo of the Dead Ringer, knowing that you could get to Talon no matter what, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
So I'll be curious to hear that thinking if Dr. BOMD wins this. Tagger
Well,
with a-
the odds are definitely against him. The Kingspade has the advantage in this matchup, but not really finding a great opener turn 1, turn 2, which is what Kingsbane kind of excels at.
Hacker's going to prep out a Silverleaf Poison because his hand is kind of bad. Wants to just start cycling immediately. Guarantee of drawing 2 cards? Okay. That's not the one you want to find, though.
Not yet. Yep.
Rat on 2 gaming, by the way.
Yeah. Coins out the Holy Smite to deal with it. I mean, that's fine. Develops the 2/6. I guess. Oof. Awkward draws for Tagger here. There's the raiding party. But he doesn't have anything cheap right now to activate it, not even next turn. He's going to have to find... well, his deck is very low to the ground. Assuredly, he can find a 1-drop to deal with that raiding party. Maybe not that 1-drop.
You may have to just go
Yeah, and
for
I've got to say, this is just a slow, inefficient start from Battle Tiger. His hand so far has just not been conducive to the game plan that excels against Reno Priest.
Yeah. Chooses for the cutting class instead. Finds a passage. That might be the play next turn. But in the meanwhile, Doc Bomb has been able to slowly cobble together a board, including now the ability to basically just play Kazak as uncontested. Going for a 5-pot, too. He's so far ahead.
Man, giving minions +4 health is just such a health buff on that dirty round. It's so tough to get through.
He chose to go
Bond-
with the gain
yeah.
7 armor instead. Summon 2 friendly minions and gain 7.
Got it.
Pretty decent choices given what's on the board. Pretty decent odds that the rat's going to be one of those. All right, there's the Kingsbane. So he's going to be able to get that online this turn. Yes.
Man, that's kind of a tough decision given the 2 Buccaneers you just drew, but
Yeah, but he's got the Deadly Poison, and he's got Cutting Class. I think he'll be all right. But Doc Bomb just continues to develop a board.
do you ever play the Reno for tempo when you're this far ahead as Priest?
You have to
It's
be
actually
considering it.
not a terrible play, yeah. Because at that point, Valtiger is going to be forced to use a lot of his removal just to clean up the board. I think I'm having a spec bug, so I'm going to leave the game and
Yeah,
join
we
back
are
in.
having
Yeah,
It's
Yeah, I just
patches
realized
bug.
that the prize plunder from the previous turn did not pull the patches. So yeah, patches bug for me as well.
yeah.
So, 1 second, we'll get back into this.
All right. Yeah. So the rat gets cleared off. The Kingsbane is now at 6 attack. But Doc Bomb still has that Divine Shield Talon in the way and can continue to push damage. Looks like he's hovering the Kazakus potion, which would get back a Dirty Rat and the Blood Mage Thalnos. Probably a decent option. Ooh, very awkward here for Battle Tagger.
Yeah, usually kind of a wall of taunts basically shuts down Kingsbane's whole game plan, and seeing that from Arena Priest has got to be kind of unexpected here, but
Well,
So
Tagger just had a slow enough start that these minions could stick around.
mm-hmm.
So looking at Tagger's hand here, he does have a Wicked Stab, 2 Wicked Stabs, but they only deal 4 damage, so the trades are just awkward. He can send his 6 attack into the Dirty Rat. Alright, finds some stuff to deal with the board. There's a deckhand, there's another Prized Plunderer. Eviscerates the Talon. And there's the Raza.
All right, so Battle Tiger's starting to turn the corner a little bit, clearing off that board from Priest. Priest definitely has the tools to come to finish this game off, though, with the Reno Priest and the Raza already in hand.
There's a Corrupted Insight. Finds the Spawn of Shadows, which represents a little bit of burst.
Ooh, the Raised Dead. You just go with that, right?
Goes for the Spirit Lash, thinking perhaps the game's going to be a little longer than that?
BOMD is just waiting on his Anduin now.
Yep. I think kind of want to get Raza online. It's another 5 damage and forces him to spend removal on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
so many options.
Battle Tiger does not have a great way to clear off this 1-1 Thalnos here, except by swinging face into it or saying Eviscerate or Wicked Stab. That's not really what you want to do, even though we know
No.
on the other side the Spirit Lash will just heal all the damage that he'll do this turn.
Well, in this case, however, the investment's going to be fairly minimal. Because he's only lost 2 health, so he might not want to go in on that. Finds a penance off the top. I kind of like developing Raza, penance down the 3/3. Call it good.
Like that's what
Yeah,
we're
we
gonna
need
see.
that 5/5 more than the hero power right now, I think. Thanos clears off the 3/1. Well, the board is mostly gone now for Bomb, but Tagger is at 13.
Yeah, he might find the Tinker's Sharp Sword Oil, which would do quite a lot of damage this turn.
Gotta imagine he's looking for exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
The only
Well,
problem is after doing this turn of all those cards, I think Battle Tiger's gonna have an empty deck, so he'll start taking fatigue damage, which could go the other way.
there's the Tinkers.
So he's actually setting up 2-turn lethal here, I believe.
Yeah, that's what he has to try for. So we're probably then going to have to see the Reno come out. With Thrive in the Shadows can find a Seance, but he doesn't have the mana to play it on the Reno.
Yeah, and the Secret Passage sending 3 of those cards back to deck, so it's gonna be a couple turns before he starts taking
There's a
fatigue damage.
Renew. I think we kind of like Renew here.
Bombed is looking at having to play the Reno here. Looking
Yeah.
at the 28 damage burst.
Well, let's see here. 12, another 12. Wowee.
He's gonna get put down to 2 potentially. Dagger might choose to hold it though. Could be smart.
Yeah, don't show that you have it. All right. Can Renew save our friend here? Doc Bomb, what do you find?
Greater healing potion? Ooh.
None of these helps. Looking at the hand.
He's actually 3 damage off of lethal now.
Yeah, it's got to be pretty close.
Yeah, I think that's just going to be it, though.
Thinking, is there any way to spirit lash your way out of this? But
No, with the amount of damage that Tagger can do, it was basically like Seance or Bust, right? You don't have any minions in your deck that can pull, right?
yeah, he's got to get to 29, and I don't think he gets there.
$26, not going to be enough.
Out of cards.
Tagger is just going to absolutely smack his opponent in the face this round and take the series 3-2. Wow.
Yeah, so much burst coming out of those 2 wicked stabs. I mean, that's 12 damage off the top. That's just crazy.
There you have it.
Wow. Kingsbane can still do some pretty powerful stuff if given the time and the burst.
Well, he had plenty of time there. Absolutely.
Yes. Well done, Tagger. 3-2 over Doc Bomb. Very close in the end after he raced out to a 2-0 lead. But all that counts is you get the W at the end. Very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let me reach out to Battle Tagger now. We'll see if we can get them for an interview.
Excellent. Well, that was fun.
Yeah, no, I mean, another game 5 on stream. I mean, I feel like we get lucky every time, so.
It's nice when the matches can really cause a series to go back and forth. In this case, it felt like the first 2 Kingsbane games for Tagger went by fairly quickly and that Doc Bomb sort of just had control. But this third one sort of shows where Kingsbane can get its power from. Yes, the Reno Priest was able to race ahead and establish a pretty strong position even with Reno, but then Tagger just was patient. He got his threats together and in the end could represent 28 damage off the top, just straight to the head. The end.
Yeah, and that was especially surprising considering the strong start that Priest had that game. I mean, I feel like if the Priest picked up Anduin pretty early there, it definitely would have gone the other way.
Might have had a chance, yeah. What do you got for us, Marty?
All right, it looks like Battle Tagger won't be able to come in, but that's okay.
Yeah,
So
we can discuss a little bit the match more then, perhaps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, Battle Tagger himself improving to 5-0 so far this season. Everyone's a winner as a team is doing great, but him especially. I mean, 5-0 is nothing to scoff at for sure.
yeah, I think I have a message from him. He says Doc BOMD is good at high rolling, but not good enough for that Kingsbane rogue to get past it. So it was close, very close.
It was very close.
Yeah, and you know, for everyone wondering, like the Kingsbane rogue normally does beat the Rito Priest. It is a favorite matchup for Kingsbane, but BOMD making it very close and interesting with those taunts. So you gotta imagine, you know, a few more draws in his way and it would have changed. Maybe a Zephyrus.
Exactly. I mean, I said it at the beginning of the game, and it sort of half proved out. The way that Reno Priest can get there in some of these matches is if Kingsbane has a slow start, and if Reno Priest is allowed to develop some of its threats. And that's exactly what happened, because Kingsbane has no healing. He was just taking chip damage. But then Doc Bomb stalled out a little bit, and he was able to get his Kingsbane up to 12 attack, an absolutely ginormous size. And that's all she wrote.
Yeah, it was definitely close for the priest there. I mean, being 3 damage off lethal at the end, that's usually not the case for priest, but
Yeah.
Excepting through like spawn turns. Yeah, you don't usually have to look for like these cheeky board lethals with priest, but desperate times call for desperate plans. What are your thoughts on the some of the other matchups that we saw? I'm curious also about uh, the paladin. So we've seen obviously a nerf to Crab Rider. Players still run it, but it's obviously not as good. What are your guys' sort of general thoughts on Handbuff Paladin's place in the meta post nerf, sort of with the early results?
I think we've seen with this matchup, Crab Rider didn't matter all that much. It was still a solid card in the hand buff Paladin itself. It still functions the same. The snowball potential has been taken away, but that didn't really matter in these games because the Crab Rider needed to be removed every time regardless.
Mhm.
So it's still going to be just as threatening as it was before. Maybe we won't get any turn 4 lethals now, which is probably a good thing because I know lots of people getting tilted from that. So it's just a healthy change that allows the card to still see play, function in the same way as it did before, and help Hand Buff Paladin stay at the top of the meta.
Still a tier 1 deck by all arguments, right?
For most
well, I'm
arguments,
not sure.
absolutely.
I mean, from my experience, I mean, that Crab Rider having Wind Fury for those couple turns, that probably wins you about 3 or 4 games out of 100, just that difference. So losing that, that could, drop the win rate by that much, 4 or 5%.
Well, that's the
Um,
thing. Like, even if that's the case, Hand Buff Paladin was so far ahead of the rest of the pack, it can afford to lose something like that. And we've seen with the first day of school change, I'm not going to call it a nerf, I'm going to call it a card change.
It's an
That,
adjustment, yeah.
yeah, it hasn't really affected Hand Buff Paladin all that much, and it kind of feeds into Hand Buff Paladin's game plan even more now. With how you
I mean,
want
look,
to fill your hand up. Buff.
yes. And looking at first day, I've been playing a little bit of Handbuff over the last few days, and obviously better players who play it more can speak to it more consistently. But at 1, getting that extra minion, it's felt fairly good, even into aggro. The extra threats, even if I can get a single buff on them with a broom or without, it allows me to fight for board in a very real way with even more consistency. It just feels like it's in some situations a buff, and I'm thinking it's going to be pretty damn good for the deck.
Yeah, and it definitely covers for some of Crab Rider's losses.
Mm-hmm.
You can't imagine that the deck will be hurt too much now.
I mean, it's also an RNG thing, I guess. There are so many 1-drops out there, but there are a lot of very decent 1-drops. Even if they're just like a 1/1, but with an interesting battle cry
Turns
or death
out,
rattle.
when you make cheat minions bigger, they get to be pretty good.
I know,
Change
right?
Stats.
who would have thought?
On that note, thanks again, guys, for coming in. I want to thank our players for letting us cast. And thanks again to all the viewers for tuning in. Until next time, it's class.
Stay in school, kids.
Have a good Saturday, guys.
I guess don't stay in school. It's Saturday.